All right, ladies and gentlemen, we are live for some NASCAR Busch Series action, and tonight we are racing at the Dodge Raceway for the second time on this season. Final time on NASCAR 07 that we're going to be racing at this racetrack. Outside of, I guess, technically when I end up going to the modified series at some point in time whenever I pull the trigger on that. But as far as this race goes, 300 laps, short track. We've ran a 300 lap race here already this season, in fact. Very strange that they put the two Dodge Raceway races in the first 15 races of the year. I figured with the one early in the year, we weren't going to race here again if we did at all until later in the season, but not even halfway, and we're already going to get both of them out of the way. I did not create the season. The fantasy tracks are basically just implemented with tracks that they didn't get the licensing for that were actually on this schedule from 2006, most of those being some of the standalone events. So be sure to hit the like button as we're about to get into this. Subscribe for more daily NASCAR content as we're going to try to take the first points lead of the season here today. I think we've got a very, very strong case for being able to do that, knowing that we do start on the pole. I think this is going to be a race that we should win. We did finish second in the first Dodge Raceway race earlier this season. We had an ill-timing caution in the final 20 laps of the race, unfortunately for ourselves, and Eric Crocker, bump and run, got around us. Got around her again, and then she bumped and ran me up the track again on the second to last lap of the race, ended up getting the victory, so hopefully we keep it clean. I'm going to have to be more aggressive in a late race situation. Try to keep the car clean up until then as much as I possibly can. Obviously, this is a bull rake of a racetrack, and we've got 43 cars on it, so it's not going to be a very clean race, but we'll hope for the best. Green flag is in the air. We're underway. And we are racing Thursday Night NASCAR. Tony Stewart on the front row as well, trying to get a lap led here in the early going. Clint Boyer not going to allow it. Boyer leads lap one. And this is a race he could go wire to wire in. The short tracks have been the strongest suit for myself personally on this game. I know I say it every time we go to a short track, but it really is. And knowing that we qualified up at the front of the field, I think I've got this car dialed in, honestly. It was a little too snug in practice, so I did have to take some wedge out for my qualifying lap, but I was able to get the pole. Wade, thanks for tuning in. Sister and niece say hello. Well, hello to them, too. If they're watching, appreciate you watching. Boy, you're already pulling away. Should be a two-stop race. First Busch race here at Dodge Raceway was a two-stopper as well in the 300-lap event. Couldn't quite make it 150 laps in a full tank. From what I remembered, at least. Yeah, I saw it last night. Didn't you have something else, too? I thought you changed it a couple times. Fantasy track, yep. Yep, Dodge Raceway. By the way, I kind of noticed it when we ran the Truck Series race here. I never noticed it before. And now I'm noticing it again running this Busch Series race here tonight. If you look at like the higher rows of the front, or I should say the first section of fans, so like the lower bowl, there's empty seats. See that right there? Some empty seats, the higher end of the lower bowl. And then also, if you look at the upper deck, there's nobody there. There's nobody in the upper deck. Now, this is a Busch race, so that would make sense theoretically speaking. And obviously, I saw it in the truck race there thing, though. I don't think they were smart enough to implement, like, partial crowds for certain races. I think that's just the way it is here, for whatever reason. especially in this time period in NASCAR, there's so many other tracks in real life that would hold more people in a mass capacity than what we have for this one here today. So started pulling away there for a little bit, and then all of a sudden Kurt Busch in the 39 has creeped in on Clint Bowyer. Bowyer not worried about it though. So the tires get down into turn 3. Got good acceleration off the corner. I'm backing up my entry quite a bit, which if they get close, it could be susceptible for a bump and run. I can't do that late in the race, but I can definitely get away with it now. I think they'll be a little more patient with me unless I'm like really holding them up. Lap traffic in the next few laps. Yep, we are getting close. And once we get into it, there's no getting out of it unless we get a caution. And obviously it's going to be a fight for the bottom, so stay as low as we can the entire time. Just ran our fastest lap. Lap 20 last time by. Mid 21 second lap times being ran right now by Bowyer. XX Larry, by the way, thanks for tuning in. Didn't shout you out yet. Tony Stewart's actually up to second now. I don't know what happened to Kurt Busch. Kurt was behind me. It isn't him anymore. So Tony Stewart trying to keep his points lead. If he's going to do that, he's probably going to have to win his first race of the season here today. I realized you had to say hi. So I saw you. It doesn't matter. I recognize your presence. Oh boy, we had contact up there off turn 2. That 174 car that's up on the outside lane now got sideways, and now he's up on the high side. He was on the bottom when he got sideways after contact with the car he was trying to pass. And now he's the one getting freight trained. Boyer trying to get a decent drive off. Tough when it's 3 wide. Can't get back into the gas as quickly as I want to. I see our teammate Jeff Burton up on the outside lane of the track as well. I definitely don't want to give up the bottom because Tony Stewart's like right on my rear bumper. I don't seem to have that pull away speed like I usually do here. Stewart catching us in lap traffic. The car feels fine. It feels a lot better than it did in practice. We don't make any mistakes, we'll be all right. Major mistakes. I'll have contact like I just did right there from time to time. It's going to happen. There isn't a single car in this entire field that's not going to make contact the entire race with somebody. It's just inevitable. I think a lapper got underneath Stewart. Tony stuck on the outside. That's going to allow Bowyer to pull away just a bit over these last several corners. Stuck behind this fantasy car. Three wide. Front of the apron, very tight. Trying to get by this green and white car for next corner. Yeah, I did. Always trying to get back underneath me. He almost did. Then he overdrove the corner trying to do so, and now he's stuck on the outside. Bernie Lamar looking to pass him. Well, as we try to go wire to wire tonight, We'll take our first field pass of the race at the start-finish line with Tony Stewart back in traffic just a bit. We'll swap to Jeff Burton in the 21, who we know is a lap down already. Currently Burton in 37th as he gets down into the bottom lane. No longer stuck on the top. We know Kevin Harvick's still in the lead lap. Haven't caught him yet. So we'll see where he's at in the leaderboard in just a second. 4 positions gained over these 2 laps for Jeff Burton. And Kevin Harvick in the 29 is currently in 18th, so he is mid-pack. Really towards the tail end of the lead lap with where Bowyer is at on track. Harvick trying to get by Ron Hornaday a little too low in the center of the corner. So low it kind of clipped the grass, and that wasn't steady at all. Apron's fine. Grass, not fine. All right. Back to Bowyer. Tony Stewart catching back up again. To the back bumper of Bowyer. Bowyer under Bowyer said. Bo Phillips in the 191 kind of holding this 2-car up in that bottom lane now. And he's crowding me. He is definitely crowding me. I don't know if I can intimidate him. It's too small of a track. We're not really able to really get the cars squared up. Didn't need to intimidate him. Finally got around him. Tony Stewart going to do the same. He's going to pass him a lot sooner than I did, though. Once I got underneath him, Stewart was close enough to me. Just kind of followed my path I left. Michael Turner, Billy Kramer, also thanks for tuning in tonight. Lap 50 already. This race is going to fly by today. 300 laps here is not a long time. I expect this race to be about an hour, hour and a half, somewhere between there. Race last night at Dover. I believe a little less than an hour and a half. This one going to be even quicker than that. I don't know exactly where that next race is going to be at. We'll find that out at the end of the night, obviously. And our start time for that one, of course, at 6 p.m. Eastern tomorrow. Before we get back into the live commentary slate for Vegas this weekend for the Xfinity and Cup action Saturday and Sunday. You're the cool uncle. Don't they call that the Funkle? Fun Uncle? Oh, I moved. Moved up the track a little bit. Jimmy Johnson's still there, still tight. 3 wide here doesn't work very well. It's so slow, though, that it's kind of hard to wreck, but not easy to make passes. Johnson did an incredible job just to stay on the lead lap. Gets by a couple cars for position on Casey Mears and Kevin Harvick as well, although Mears, I think, is already a lap down, but Harvick definitely a spot. He goes a lap down now. Last we saw, he was in 17th. Alternate through the different camera angles for the first time today. 1.4 second lead. I believe all 43 cars that started the race still on track. We get a lot of stack ups here with how small this track is when we see an engine failure, and we've seen cautions based off of guys getting ran over and an accordion effect when that happens. Drove it in pretty deep, got underneath Jimmy Johnson there, made the pass. There's a little bit of a transition from the apron to the corners. It's a flat track, but there is enough banking there. Kind of hops the car every now and then. But not too violent, obviously, if the speed's down. We're barely hitting 100 miles an hour. Top speed. Depending on how heavy traffic is, we probably don't even hit 100 miles an hour every straightaway. Got the 104 there. Mark Tavares, thanks for tuning in. Like what you did there. "70 laps complete, caution free, 2.4 second lead." A lot of cars obviously a lap down already. Now if we make it 75 laps, I guess this is going to be a one-stop race today. Because then we can definitely go 150. I thought I remember this race being 2 stops last time. I took that break from the Busch Series schedule. I mean, it has been a little bit of time, even though these are both in the first half of the season. Well, we definitely made it 75 laps. Yep. Just completed 75 at the line. All right. Never mind what I said at the very start of the race. It's like it's going to be a one-stopper, not a two-stopper. .592 that last lap, our fastest of the race. With the contact. Jeff Burton, our teammate, about to go 2 laps down. And does as he's still stuck up on the outside of the racetrack. I jammed the brakes getting down into turn 1 that time. Felt like that 151 was checking up early, getting into the corner, and guess not, because he still ended up pulling me. Good thing I didn't get ran into from behind when I did that. Didn't have anybody too close to my back bumper. At the point of the heavy braking. F1 at Coda this weekend, I had no clue. Tells you how much I pay attention to F1. Oh, Ernie Lamar up the racetrack after somebody got into his bumper. 4.1 second lead. All right, halfway out of gas. 88, 89, somewhere around there. Well, if we get a caution in the middle of green flag pit stops, if a lot of these guys split the race in half, at least we know we're not going to be pushing it on fuel to the end of the race. So we're going to be able to make it about 170 to 180 laps on a full tank, so that's good. Pretty much no strategy at this point. Unless we had a caution in about exactly 30 laps or so, then it would make it tight, but if we get under 170 laps to go, and if we get our first caution then, we're definitely going to pit. I would imagine the rest of the field's going to do the same. Knowing I have the quickest car here and I'm making that much fuel mileage, I would imagine everybody else is probably going to be even better than that on fuel. If I had to guess. 5.7 second lead. And we'll take that next field pass, our final one. So here's Jeff Burton again, slowly climbing through the field. 25th. He was 38th the first time we transferred to him, and he got up to 33rd. Gets another spot up to 24th. Well, trying to. A green and white car, man. Can't tell what number it is, but he was tough to pass when I was driving his Boyer, too. Harvick just lost his second lap. Back down to the bottom here for Harvick. 3 wide. Oh, that was a great cut right in the middle of the corner. Harvick's going backwards. Jeff Burton's going forward. Burton's going to end up catching Harvick here before long. Not that far behind him position-wise. Harvick might get this lap back on Boyer and does. Not going to be for long, though. Boyer will get him right back here pretty soon. Just over 100 laps complete. And here comes the 2. 3 wide under his teammate. So with Harvick in 19th, he's about to go 2 laps down and does. So we've got over half the field, multiple laps down now. 6.3 second lead to who I'd assume would be Tony Stewart, still in second. He was in second last we knew. Really, 6.5 seconds is about a half a lap off the lead, so that's a big gap on this short of a track. Racing coming your way or the highway? Yeah, I get the Limp Bizkit reference there. Good old Limp Bizkit. I may see them for the first time next year. They're touring with Metallica. I might end up going to that Metallica show in Columbus, and they're playing one of the nights. next May. I definitely want to see Metallica as many times as I can whenever they come within a few hours of me, touring-wise, just because I don't know how many more years they're going to have left of doing it. Especially, like, good years. You know, I hate to see them go so long that it's like, oh, man, you, like, feel bad for them because they're, like, a shell of their former self. Like, I hope they don't go that long. And in the case of that, definitely want to see them as many times as I can now because they still play great. I mean, I just saw them last year, so about this time last year, a little less than a year ago now. Right after NASCAR season. It was like the first weekend after the season was over in November. Should technically be the last weekend of the season this year with the extra off week during the Olympics. You know, for being as short of a track as it is, I feel like I'm doing a good job making passes. I've very, very rarely made contact with anybody in this race, and doing the best I can to not over push the boundaries. I mean, we have the car. I'm basically just letting the car do the work and not pushing it too hard into somebody, and we're still gapping Stewart. It took a while to really start gapping him. I mean, he was keeping up with us in lap traffic early in the run, and it seems like he's faded as this run has gone on. And again, the lead 8.8 seconds now, 120 laps into a caution-free race. Imagine we may see some drivers split this race in half. I'm definitely going to go as long as I can because you will lose multiple laps here for sure. How short the track is and the pit is on the outside of the track, so really the pit lane is longer than the actual racetrack. Only fantasy track like that on this game. You're going to lose 2 to 3 laps. In the event of where I'm up 9 seconds, I would probably lose 2 laps rather than 3. Obviously, if you're on the lead lap, you know, basically second on back with the interval we see now between the leader and second place, you're going to lose 3 laps. So I would definitely not pit early, but we're going to see some of them pit right at halfway. Even if they all end up pitting at the halfway mark and splitting it in half, I'm still taking it as long as I can because we've got this big lead, so I don't think fresh tires is going to matter a whole lot. This car's still handling well. I feel like if I could just hold it on the bottom, they're not going to get around me anyway. So I can't imagine here I would lose that much time. The only way I would lose time is if I speed on pit road or the pit crew makes a mistake and they have a slow stop. Warriors led every lap of the race, trying to go wire to wire here today. And if we do that, that'll put us up over 1,400 laps led on the season in these first 15 races. Clint trying to go for back-to-back wins yet again and trying to go for win number 9 on the year, but still has not led in points. This is as close as he's been, -6 to Tony Stewart coming into the night. Even if Stewart were to lead any laps, which so far he obviously hasn't, with Bowyer starting on the pole and leading everything so far, that a second place finish for Tony Stewart, he will lose the points lead if Bowyer wins. Again, assuming that Clint leads the most laps, which he should. And we're already only 18 laps away from clinching that. I can see Tony Stewart just a few more cars up ahead. Bit of a gap between him and John Andretti. Stewart now underneath Jeff Burton. And you can see Burton's catching up to Kevin Harvick as well. There's both of them just within a few cars of each other. Stewart to the inside of the 21. We're trying to lap the field. Stewart would be in the free pass position in the event of a caution. And we do have pit stops going on just before the halfway mark. There are cars on pit road. In fact, some just exiting. Bowyer, a little contact with Stewart. Very aggressive. Trying to make the pass, and a caution is out. And that is going to save Tony Stewart. Caution flag is out for the first time tonight. And it's right in the middle of green flag stops. Somebody just stopped right on the racetrack. Right in front of the 119. He had nowhere to go but to run into the back of him. The heck happened there? Car in front of him just came to a stop. It's like he stopped and was waiting for a hole to pull up in line. It's not necessarily how to do it, but it's what he did. Wasn't really the 119's fault, but caution flag is out. And we'll have our pit stop under yellow here today. Again, this is the only stop of the race. Tony Stewart was the only car in the lead lap, along with Clint Bowyer. Bowyer got into the back of him literally the lap before. Tried to put him a lap down. No, we were that close, so we'll see who's going to win this race off of pit road. Because if Stewart wins the race out of the pits, that's going to get him 5 bonus points, so we definitely got to make sure we win this here. We need a clean stop. Not worried about, losing to him, but... Oh, I thought that was him. I thought that was Stewart. It's 22, not the 33. So Bowyer should still be out in front. There you go. All the lap cars on the inside, the 2 lead lap cars on the outside. Green flag is in the air. Bowyer has led them all so far, trying to get to the bottom quickly, and does. Right in line behind Kurt Busch, and right in front of Kevin Harvick. Harvick cycled up to 4th, I think, with all that going on. However many laps down he is. I mean, he was the 2nd car in line on the bottom. Well, I guess technically it'd be 5th, because whoever got the free pass there, whoever was in 3rd 1 lap down is back on the lead lap. They just had to restart the tail end of the longest line. So we should have 3 cars on the lead lap, but 2 of them obviously at the front of the field there. Stewart finally gets to the bottom as well. Bowyer with the clean air advantage yet again. Halfway home here at the Dodge Raceway as Bowyer tries to go wire to wire. Pit crew with a great job during that lone stop of the race. One Bowyer, the race off pit road in front of Stewart. Stewart still hasn't led. And now we just ran our fastest lap, 12.552, with the fresh tires and the clean air. 12.502. 200's quicker. We're going to catch lap traffic well quicker into this run than we did earlier. It only took us a little over 20 laps at the start of the race earlier. We restarted lap 149. We could already see the back of the field, but that's because it was mostly a single file line because almost everybody was a lap down. Versus the double wide initial start. A lot of cars at the back of the field are double wide soon after the race start, but you got to figure those guys were probably 3/4 nearly of at least 2/3 of a lap down if you were at the tail end of the line. So whoever got the free pass and was in 3rd and is back on the lead lap, I don't think they're going to stay on the lead lap very long. We go another 20 to 30 laps into this run. Whoever it is, going to be a lap down again. I don't even know who it is either. It could be any one of these cars, for all I know. I still have not seen one car blow a motor this entire race. We usually see at least a few in these full races, so I'd imagine, with that being said, we're probably going to see quite a few of them in the second half, and all at once rather than just sporadically through the race. No way we're going to go a full race without anybody DNFing. I don't know that that's ever happened in these full races on this game. Really, any of the EA games we've played. I feel like there's been at least one driver to DNF every race. Usually it's multiple. Usually it's at least two to three, but... All right. Already a 3-second lead over Stewart. Once we got into that lap traffic, we really started to gap him, just like earlier in the race. Although right away he was keeping up with us, so I'm kind of surprised this time. As soon as we hit the lap traffic, he struggled immediately. I think the only reason I don't get dizzy at this racetrack running this many laps this quickly is because the track is slow enough. I feel like if it was banked like a Bristol, that it would... I mean, if it was banked like a Bristol, we'd probably run at like 9 to 10 second lap times. It'd be ridiculous. Then I'd probably be getting dizzy. Once again, though, this race is never over till it's over. We lost the first race here. Not quite the same circumstance where we've led every lap up to the point of us losing the lead late, but we did by far lead the most in the first Dodge Raceway race of the season. Eric Crocker won that race, getting around us on the second to last lap with a major bump and run after a very late race restart because of a caution. Kind of a similar circumstance here with Tony Stewart where he got the yellow just to barely hang on to the lead lap. Gonna need bailed out with another yellow to try to get back in contention again, but if it's on a long run, I would imagine the speed in this too, even if he did get waxed on a restart, he could easily get him back. The thing with Crocker earlier this season is it happened so late in the race. You know, she got around us and that was game. Second to last lap, and obviously the laps go by very quickly here, and we went high enough up the racetrack and lost too much time. And Stewart not winning a race this season, I think he'll be just as aggressive. Especially knowing that it would allow him to keep the points lead for yet another race. just by beating us here today. Obviously, if he finishes in second, we're not going to have a big points lead, but it'll be our first of the season. First of the season with 20 races to go still. Not quite halfway through the year. We do have Daytona coming up in a few races, and it's not a great track for me on the Busch or the Truck Series season, so hopefully that second Daytona event goes better than the first one we had early in the year, where I think I finished either 40th or 41st in that race. It wasn't good. Oh, there's somebody blowing a motor. That was Jeremy Mayfield, the third place driver in the point standings. Quite a ways back. Now he's probably going to fall out of third after this race. And he very well could be that first driver to retire. That's the first driver I've noticed blow an engine the entire race. This thing is flying by. I mean, we're only like 44 minutes into the stream now. 191 of 300. With the caution, that slowed the pace down just a bit. We're just executing, running a flawless race. I mean, literally leading all, well, not all but. We've led every lap. For ourselves, we couldn't have had a better race so far. I really wanted to qualify in the pole here just because I want the points lead. I want that first points lead of the season. I know this is a race I could go out and dominate with it being a short track. Give me that track position right out of the gate. Here we are. Can't believe it's going to take 9 wins to finally take our first points lead of the season. That slow start. 2 of the first 4 races, Atlanta and Daytona, we had 2 40th or worst place finishes in those first 4 that really set us back early in the season, and we've been playing catch up ever since. It's amazing that like 2 of really the only bad finishes we've had all year. But finishing that deep in the field and as consistent as Tony Stewart has been. I mean, to look at the point standings and where third place was coming into the night. Now he's going to be even further back because he just blew a motor. Jeremy Mayfield did. I mean, that's how so consistent Boyer has been. Even with our 8 wins to this point, about to be 9 after tonight. Just now going to get to the points lead, but we got to keep it up. I mean, I've gotten hot, obviously, after those first handful of races, but gotta stay hot. Daytona, I know it's going to be a grind in a few races. I'm curious to see how Milwaukee goes, because my truck in the Truck Series race there, it was not great. And usually the flatter short tracks are great for me. New Hampshire's probably my best track on this game, if not that, Richmond is. And we ended up, well, I guess we did lead laps in the truck race on pit strategy, but I literally had to go 2 tires only on the lone stop of a 100-lap race there in the Truck Series just to finish second. I didn't do that. We were running 15th at the time. So I'm very curious to see what the Busch Series speed's going to be there. And Milwaukee, Daytona are back-to-back, too, so that'll be interesting. Rockingham, I didn't have great speed in the Truck Series there. I'm also curious to see what happens in the Busch race. I finished 29th out of 36 trucks. I just did not have speed. I qualified well. Qualified like 7th, but I didn't stay there. See Tony Stewart on the bottom lane up there as he is about to go a lap down. We'll see if he gets bailed out with another caution like he did last time. Sad part is only having 2 cars in the lead lap at that time of the caution in the middle of green flag pit stops. Tony Stewart's pretty much locked into a top 2 finish. He's going to finish second as long as he just finishes the race. Because even in catching him and putting him a lap down finally, I'd imagine second on back is probably all 2 laps down then. At least now. Or third on back, excuse me. So he wouldn't even have to race for the free pass. No contact. Same thing that happened last time we tried to pass Stewart. That one I kind of pushed the issue a little too hard. Really, both times. He's already underneath another car. 3 wide was going to be tight. Stewart not giving Boyer a lot of room. Got underneath him, center off through 3 and 4 that time. Stewart going to crowd the 2 to a lot of the apron. Boyer clear in the braking zone of turn 3. So Clint Boyer with a 1-lap lead on the field. 86 laps to go here at Dodge Raceway. But again, Stewart will remain in the free pass position pretty much to the end of this race. And as long as he stays 1 lap down, we get a caution. He's back on the lead lap with the free pass. I saw somebody else just blowing a motor. I didn't see who it was. I didn't see the number icon. I saw it flash, but I didn't pay close enough attention. I just kind of saw it out of the corner of my eye. But that is now the second driver to blow a motor in the race today. Hasn't caused a stack up, though, like we usually see on this track when that happens. I wonder if both times it happened, that car was like already in the outside lane, so they were able to get up and out of the way a lot easier. Would be my only guess to that. I'll tell you what, on the fantasy tracks, I almost wonder Allstate Speedway, which is technically Rockingham in this game, if that's the next race. If we have that, Milwaukee, Daytona, the next 3 races, that's got to be the toughest 3-race stretch for me, I think, on this game that you could throw. And sure enough, it'd be right after I take my first points lead of the season. We'd have to go through a grind over the next few races. Chicagoland right after that, 1.5 miles too, after Daytona. So there can be some pretty tough races for me coming up here very, very soon. If not next race, it'll be after tomorrow night's race. Hopefully this points lead lasts longer than 1 or 2 races. You know, we're not going to have a huge buffer over Stewart. So we have another driver that just blew a motor. Also didn't see that car either. They were already well on pit road. Well, I figure second half of the race we're going to see a lot of engine failures, considering we didn't see a single one the entire first fuel run, which was almost half the race. I think lap 142, 143-ish, we had that first caution. Haven't had one since. Gone over 80 laps under green this run. Technically, from when we restarted, this will be the longest green flag run of the race if we do make it all the way to the checker without another caution. Well, Kurt Busch was at the front of the field earlier. I wonder if he maybe is the car that got the free pass and got his lap back. It's tough telling, though, because we had some cars on pit road when the caution came out, too, as drivers are splitting the race in half. Way out of gas right now. Still plenty good to the end. Only have 67 laps to go on this 3/8 mile racetrack. Do the math there. It's not many miles. I think when we go to NASCAR 08, I haven't done fantasy tracks on a custom schedule season in a while. I think I'm going to incorporate them again. That could make it a little bit more difficult on us as well. Especially with a new game I've never played before. And I'm talking about for the Cup Series season with all those fantasy road courses. You have to let me know also in the chat if you have played NASCAR 08 or NASCAR 09. Are all the fantasy like road course races in the Cup Series from the earlier EA games, are they all still pretty much on those two games? Or are they missing any? So I have no clue. I mean, we're getting closer and closer to NASCAR 08. Especially when you consider the fact that when the NASCAR season comes to an end, I'm not doing live commentary for the few months, obviously, during the off-season. That we'll fly through this gaming stuff pretty quickly, and knowing we're already done with the Truck Series season on this game, Busch schedule almost halfway, Cup not that far short of halfway. I think we've ran 11 races there, maybe 10. I didn't realize I caught Tony Stewart again already. Wow, he was very slow getting through traffic, and now he's about to go a second lap down. Second time that Boyer's gotten into him just in the last couple laps here. Fourth time total in the race. As you can see, he's not too thrilled with us. And he definitely doesn't want to lose a second lap. He loses a second lap, it's going to take him 2 cautions to try to get back into this. I don't want to initiate too much contact with him, because then if he gets really mad at us, he might wreck us next race. This race, it probably, the speeds are so slow, it wouldn't bother me too much, but try to make a clean pass from here. Got the positioning underneath him, a little more contact. There we go, pass made. 2-lap lead on Stewart now with 51 laps to go. If he runs that slow still in traffic after being another lap down, we may lap him a third time. I think we caught him in less than 50 laps from when we lapped him the first time around. Oh, now this 152 car's holding me up. Beat it. Dawson Sutton driving full-time next season. There you go. Yeah, I didn't hear about that. Unless it was just announced midstream. I think he's ran some races in the 25 car truck, I should say, specifically this season. Pretty much had a lot of part-time drivers in that car throughout the year. Met him at Kansas last year. That's pretty cool. In the garage, I take it. Two hours ago? Yeah, that's probably why I didn't see it then. I mean, I was at work all day before that. That would have been probably on my drive home from work then. I didn't get back here until a little after 5:20. J-Hit 365, thanks for tuning in. Didn't know it was live until just now. Well, I mean, you're here before the finish. A little less than 40 laps left. 2-lap lead on the field, 1 caution just before the halfway mark. Our only pit stop of the race was under that said yellow. Well within the fuel window. Fan zone? Oh, okay. I always tend to forget that they do have like random driver interviews in the fan zone throughout the weekend. Get there at the right times. You can see some high-profile drivers, certain tracks. Kind of had a randomness, really. Had something going on during like the Richmond race weekend because they usually sponsor that race. They might have like Denny Hamlin or somebody, you know, Christopher Bell there talking for like a half hour or so in the fan zone. Front tires in the yellow and the tire wear indicator. I really don't remember them wearing out like that. I mean, the car feels fine. It doesn't really feel that much different than it was. Haven't had to make an adjustment mid-race, just that slight adjustment after practice. Which, I mean, it saves the same setup in the car from the last time you raced there. So whatever I had at the finish of the last race, for some reason it felt too tight this time around. I'm like, well, maybe that's why I didn't win the first race here. Because it felt like it was plowing, and I took some wedge out of it. Literally, all I did was take a half round of wedge out of it post-practice, going into qualifying, sat on the pole, and now we've dominated the race. Like, it was night and day different. Like, I really don't remember it being that tight the first time I raced here. We still led a lot of laps in that race, so even though we didn't win, I'll lead even more here today. A wire-to-wire race for Clint Boyer. That's pretty impressive. I just got to do it on the Cup Series season, which, honestly, consider I'm driving as Dave Blaney, that probably ain't happening, but we have won a lot of races. And the short tracks have been strong for me on that side of things, so I guess you never know. What tracks have I been to in real life? I've been to a lot. I can go year by year. My first ever NASCAR race was Michigan 2015. The August race. That was the first race I ever went to. Matt Kenseth won that day. I think he actually had the track record in qualifying like that weekend too. And then I think Jeff Gordon ended up breaking the track record. Or maybe it was Gordon that had the track record in the spring race that year. Yeah, I could be wrong on that. Never mind. Okay. But anyway, he started towards the front of the field. He was definitely on the pole. So maybe it wasn't the track record that year, but a couple years after the repave, fast track, Kenseth won. I didn't go to another race again until 2018. My grandpa took me on my birthday weekend that year in 15, my 16th birthday. The race wasn't on my birthday, but it was pretty close to it. So then 2018, I went back to Michigan again. That's my home track, by the way. Went back there again, spring race. I'm like, I need to start going to more NASCAR races. Now that at that point I was 18 years old, I was out of high school. So later that year, I went to Kentucky like the next month. And then I went back to Michigan in August. And then like 2 weeks after that Michigan race, they were running the regular season finale at Indy. So I went to the Brickyard 400 as well. So I went to those 4 races, 2018 and then 2019. I traveled for the first time like well out of state, like more than a 4-hour drive. I went to Atlanta, which would have technically been old Atlanta. Keselowski won that one. Went to Michigan, obviously, again that year in June. Went to Chicago a few weeks after that at Chicagoland Speedway 2019. Last race I've had there at this point. Alex Bowman's first career win. I've seen a lot of Bowman wins, including his first. He's got 8 in his career. I think I've seen him win like 4 or 5 times. That year he won 4 races. I saw 3 of them that year. But anyway, get back on track. So I was at Chicagoland. What other track I go to that year? I went to Watkins Glen that year. Michigan again in August. I feel like there's another race in there I'm forgetting. I think I went to 6 races that year. Atlanta. Both Michigans. Watkins Glen. Oh, Roval. I went to the Charlotte Roval that year. That's right. Yeah, so I was at the Roval in 19 as well. So those 6. 2020, my first trip to Bristol was the All-Star race weekend that year. First race back with fans after COVID. Then I went to Southern 500 like the next month or month and a half later. Darlington, partial crowd. Then Talladega, my first time. Also partial crowd that season. I was at the fall race. So those were the only 3 I went that year. 2021, golly, I think I went to 11 Cup races that year. 21, see if I can remember all of them. I know Martinsville was on there in the fall. Michigan, obviously. Road America was on there. Mid-Ohio, I guess, technically, for the Xfinity Series, but Eldora for the Truck Series was also in 19. I forgot about that. 21. Dega again. Bristol Night Race. I said Martinsville already. Pocono for the doubleheader. So 2 races at Pocono, same weekend. Nashville. Super Speedway. Man, I know I'm forgetting Coke 600 I went that year. I need to do a year like that again. That was awesome, by the way. It was a grind, but it was awesome. I don't know if I'm forgetting one from that year or not. Because the 11, obviously, 2 of them were in the same weekend at Pocono, so it would have really only been like 10 trips. And a couple of them, like Michigan, less than an hour and a half drive. Mid-Ohio was about an hour and a half drive for me. I think I got them all from that year. Dover, I forgot. I also went to Dover that year. That one slipped by me. White flag, by the way, final lap of the race. 2022 is at the Daytona 500, Auto Club Speedway. I was at Daytona for all of Speed Week, so I saw the duels and all that stuff. Dega again. That would have been the fall race when Elliott won. Kansas. Kansas was 2022. That was a playoff race that year. Bristol again. Night race. See, not going in order is kind of throwing me off a little bit. What road course race did I go to that year? Mid-Ohio for trucks. Indy 500, but it wasn't a NASCAR race. I was at Indy a couple times before that for NASCAR races, but that was my first Indy 500 that year, 2022. You know, I'm gonna look real quick, because I know I'm forgetting some. I've got a list. Let me find that real quick. So I feel like I'm forgetting some from 21 and 22. Especially 21. Because I know I went to 11 races that year, and I feel like one of them slipped by me. Because I started jumping around. I was going in order, and then when I got to that season, because I went to a lot, I just started naming tracks. Alright. See here. So 20... I'll go back through them all again. 2015 Michigan, 2018 Michigan, both Michigans. Brickyard 400 at Indy, Kentucky. 2019, this is all before I started the YouTube channel, so I don't have those on record because I wasn't doing content at the track. 19 was 6 races. That was Rollable, Watkins Glen. Glen was my first road course race ever that year. Michigan, Chicagoland. (2020) Dega, first time fall race. All-Star Race Bristol, first trip there. Southern 500 Darlington. 2021 Dega for Xfinity and Cup. That was the first Xfinity race I'd ever been to at that point, because usually I was just going to the Cup weekends. I still usually just go to the Cup races, but that was the first Xfinity race. Dover Cup, Coke 600, Mid-Ohio Xfinity, Nashville Cup, Pocono, obviously both Cup and then Xfinity Truck all that weekend with the doubleheader. Indy Road Course for Xfinity, IndyCar. That was the first IndyCar race I'd been to. Cup Series, obviously, the next day. Next weekend, I was at Michigan. Bristol night for Truck, Xfinity, and Cup. Martinsville, just Cup. And Road America, I forgot Road America in there. Cup only there. 22, Daytona, all of Speed Weeks. Minus qualifying on the Wednesday night. I don't think they were letting fans in for that, at least at that time. Because it was just like a Wednesday night deal. Next weekend, flew out to Fontana, Auto Club Speedway. Bristol Dirt. I forgot about Bristol Dirt 22. That was the one I was forgetting. Atlanta before that, and then Bristol Dirt for Truck and Cup. Can't believe I forgot that one. Indy 500, 22. Gateway. I forgot Gateway too. That was the Hamlin-Chastain deal there. That was hilarious. That's still the funniest thing I've ever seen live at a NASCAR race was Denny Hamlin running like less than 100 miles an hour down the straightaway. Just holding Chastain up. He didn't want it. He wasn't wrecking him. He was just holding him up. Mid-Ohio for the IndyCar race that year, too. Oh, yeah, I went to the Kings Royal that year. Eldora World of Outlaw race. SRX that year, too. Sharon Speedway. Michigan, obviously, I mentioned that. Kansas, I mentioned that. Dega. Yeah, so I missed I forgot Gateway and Dirt Bristol when I was going through it the first time. And Phoenix, oh my gosh, I was at Phoenix for the finale. I was there all weekend. I missed the truck race, unfortunately, that weekend, but I got the Xfinity and the Cup. And then last year in 23, it was just Dega, Michigan, Bristol. This year, just Michigan. So looking to go back to plenty more again starting next year. So it is a lot. It is a lot. I'm a diehard. I am a diehard. Yeah, a lot of those were before I started the channel. I didn't start the channel till like 2020, technically. I wasn't doing daily content until like practically 2021. But I started filming like just race highlight videos at the track like early days of the channel 2020. So definitely want to get back into doing that again. Those videos do well. You guys seem to like them. I like the uniqueness of it. I don't see anything like that on YouTube. Like sometimes people will videotape, you know, the finish of the race or the start of the race in the grandstands. I try to get like a good 20 to 30 minutes on my camcorder and try to compile like an actual full race highlight video for you guys. So yeah, I get a lot of views on that. I will get back. I'm in the stage of trying to move out of state next year, so been putting back a lot of money these last couple of years, but plan is to move down to North Carolina, and I'll definitely be going to a lot more races there, because I mean, driving distance-wise, living around the Charlotte area, you got 2 races there. Bristol's only like 3.5 hour drive. That's 2 there. Martinsville's only a few hours, 2 there. Darlington, there's 2 there. That's only like 2 hours. Like, there's a lot of tracks I could go to and make it a day drive there and back. I don't have to pay for hotel. Like, it would be very feasible for me to go to a bunch of races again once I move. I'll probably end up coming back, you know, home here, Toledo area, to go back to Michigan once a year because my family's been doing that since 2018. So I'll probably end up going there that year too. And we'll see what other kind of tracks I go to at that time. I'm trying to think. Maybe Rockingham will be back on the schedule at that. North Wilkesboro. I didn't even think about that. I haven't been to North Wilkesboro yet. Not for a race, at least. So. Way to St. Louis, I got stuck in a restroom stall, too. I don't remember this. I have no clue what you're talking about. Three to 4 hours from Atlanta. Yeah, I mean, even Atlanta from Charlotte isn't... I mean, even, like, Daytona is only, like, 8 hours. It's 16 and a half for me to get there now. You know, driving-wise. One of those things, you know, I did it once. I'd like to go to Daytona more often, but just living so far away. I mean, you could pay for flights, but then I'm having to pay for a rental car for an entire week, and you know, it gets expensive, you know, flying out there. It costs way more efficient. But then I just need that extra time off of, you know, my weekly job to be able to do something like that. So vlog it 3 to 4 hours. Well, I forgot about that. Stuck in the restroom. Why? I don't remember this. I really don't remember getting stuck in a restroom. But yeah, definitely get back to more races next year. All right, let's wrap up this stream. We won the race. Tony Stewart finished second. Okay. So there's a couple things here that don't make sense. We led every lap of the race. I led all 300 laps. Somehow Tony Stewart got credited with 4 laps led. That kind of frustrates me a little bit because it's such a tight battle for the points, and he got 5 bonus points for nothing. I literally led every lap. We won by 2 laps. I don't know where he could have led 4 laps. We won the race off pit road. And our pit stall was after the start-finish line, so he definitely didn't lead there. Restarted in the lead, didn't lose it. Yeah, I don't know. We literally led all 300 laps, but it's only crediting us with 296. The worst thing about this is he gets 5 bonus points for nothing. And honestly, in the last race, it said he led a lap. I thought it was literally me and Kyle Busch that led the entire race. I don't remember a single driver leading at Charlotte that wasn't Busch or Boyer. And somehow, I guess technically 2 races ago, but yeah, I don't remember a single driver 2 races ago leading all those laps, and I don't know. Yeah, he got credited with bonus points in that race too. 2-lap victory on the field, that's correct. What also isn't correct, how do I lead all but 4 laps in the race, yet there's 10 lead changes? Like, that doesn't make any sense either. For one, I led every lap. For 2, how do we change the lead even if he did lead 4 laps? How did the lead change 10 times? That doesn't make any sense. 1 caution, that's right. Average race speed 100.25 miles per hour. Total time of the race 1 hour, 7 minutes, and 19 seconds. Kenny Wallace finishes 3rd. Which Busch is that in 4th? Kyle? Kurt Busch finishes 4th. Aaron Crocker 5th. Kevin Harvick actually ended up 6th. Good run for our teammate. Wasn't solid early. I think he got bailed out that caution. He still finished 5 laps down. R. Richardson. Randy Richardson finishes 7th, top 10. John Andretti 8th. R. Johnson, Jordan, sorry. Ron Jordan, another fantasy driver, top 10, finishes 9th. Greg Biffle rounds out the top 10 in 10th. Yeah, pit stop, it literally doesn't make sense, though. Like, we literally led on pit road. Our only pit stop of the race was under caution. We didn't lose the lead in the pits. So, yeah, it's a game glitch, I mean, is what it is. He definitely didn't lead. Yeah, 10 lead changes doesn't make any sense either. There's only 2 cars on the lead lap for like 2/3 of the race. I don't know. Whatever. As long as I don't lose the championship by like 5 or less points, I guess it's not going to matter. If I do, though, you go back to this and it's like, this game glitch cost me. Jeff Burton, 13th. Not bad for him either. 9 laps down in 13th. See who all DNF'd. 3 drivers, Jeremy Mayfield, Bernie Lamar, lap 2:11 and 2:17 for B. Finley. Siegel, who finished 40th, so he actually finished the race, 14 laps down off the pace. That's insane. But you'll get that when you have 43 cars on a 3/8 mile racetrack. We're going to take our first points lead of the season. Getting this max points day. Stewart gets a free 5 bonus points he shouldn't have gotten, so our points lead not going to be quite as high. And we are going to Meadow Creek Speedway. So I thought it was Meadow Creek Speedway based off the logo. I was right. Our next 5 races, we've got Meadow Creek, Milwaukee, Daytona, Chicagoland, and New Hampshire. New Hampshire's one of my better tracks on this game. This is probably the toughest short track on here is Meadow Creek. It'll be another short race, half-mile short track, 250 laps, but kind of a longer one at Milwaukee, 250 laps there. I mean, considering a full cup race at like a New Hampshire, same style of track as 300, so it's going to be a long race there at the Milwaukee Mile. Daytona, kind of a short race, only 100 laps. Chicagoland, typical 200 lap, 300 mile race for the mile and a half, and then 200 at New Hampshire. So got some really short races, just like tonight, and some really long races coming up. Yep, Pants Speedway. Officially, or not officially, but formerly known as Pants Speedway. Levi Strauss probably didn't renew their contract with EA Sports going into NASCAR 07. 9-point lead. Kenny Walsh is third in points now with Jeremy Mayfield finishing dead last. Blowing an engine early in the race. Well, second half of the race, but first driver out. So Mayfield falls to fifth from third. Aaron Crocker's up to fourth now. Over 500 points over third place, but only 9 over second. What? But yeah, literally it's like a 3-race gap between second and third in points. And just 15 races, by the way. Like, not the end of the season. This is only after 15 of 35 races. It's literally 2 drivers and the rest of the field. I mean, between the 2 of us, incredible racing going on. I had a 7.5 average finish coming into the day, and it's probably down around 7, if not just less than that after a win tonight. That's going to be it. I've rambled a lot here at the end. I wanted to get through a couple of those questions in the chat. Hopefully you enjoyed the stream. Be sure to hit the like button. Subscribe for more daily NASCAR content. 6 p.m. Eastern start time again tomorrow. Again, we'll be racing at Meadow Creek Speedway. Another short track. Should be a fun one. Have a good rest of your night, everybody.